All right. Again, thank you everyone for joining this webinar on going beyond SOLIDWORKS PDM functionality. My name is Marc Young, and today we'll be talking about different customizations and functionality within SOLIDWORKS PDM to take it to the next level. It really will be a bunch of videos and demos of different functions and tools that we've developed on top of the SOLIDWORKS PDM functionality. To get started, for those of us that don't know us, we at XLM Solutions are what we consider a complete PLM solution provider. That means we're not a VAR, we don't sell software, but we work with Dassault and SOLIDWORKS to provide services and solutions on top of the Dassault and SOLIDWORKS products. And we have extensive experience on 3D Experience, both cloud and on-premise. Obviously, SOLIDWORKS PDM, which we'll be talking about today, some legacy systems like Innovia Smart Team, and other Dassault brands like Exelead, CATIA, Simulia, etc. We also provide services on other PLM products as well. We've been in business since 2005, so we've been doing this for over 20 years, and we're really highly respected in the industry for both our business and technical expertise. As mentioned, we are a Dassault business partner along with a SOLIDWORKS certified professional service company. And again, that is stating that, we're not a VAR, we don't sell software, but we're recognized and certified by SOLIDWORKS for providing professional services on their products. We really, dedicate ourselves to providing excellence. We're always researching new best practices in the industry, new technologies to use. We have an active project going on where we're adapting different AI models to various PLM products, and we're always keeping up to date on the latest trends and industry initiatives, both from a business or process side and a technical side. We provide all aspects of PDM, PLM implementations, everything from discovery workshops to general implementations, customizations and integrations, which we'll be talking a lot about today. We'll be touching a little bit on the data migration subject, which we provide as well, and then finally training and support. Have expertise in various different industries, and bring, besides our business expertise, a ton of skills in IT and programming. So to get started, I would say first we're going to talk about going beyond PDM, additional functionality that we can add to the product. But, I also want to state that PDM out of the box is a great tool, and there is a lot of stuff you can do with it. So don't feel like you have to customize or extend PDM. There's really a lot you can do with it out of the box. And you can do everything from, having different data cards and managing different metadata on it. There's logic functions out of the box to turn on and off, variables and values that you see in the data card or tabs that you see in the data card. You can create very configurable workflows, have different file states that the files go through, different approval cycles, and you can, again, control logic how those workflows behave. Through the administration tool, you can create templates for file and folder creation. There's a fairly intuitive and pretty granular security model to create the correct security, to control who can see what or who can perform what based on different security models that you may have at your company. You have out-of-the-box tasks for the should say printing or PDF creation of SOLIDWORKS drawings. There's a capability called dispatch where I kind of like to configure that, say that's a little bit like low code, where, if you're not a programmer, you can write your own logic to control some functionality in the system. But all that being said, sometimes you need a little bit extra customization to get you to 100% of handling your processes and providing, that unique functionality that your company may need. And we'll talk about different things we can do. So I, also want to state, PDM has a fully supported API. A lot of people say I don't want to customize the system because it won't be supported. And I always like to say, um, if you do want to customize, you want to customize it in a manageable effort, meaning any customizations you do can be managed and supported during upgrades, testing, etc. So everything that we're going to show you today is really based on the SolidWorks API, which is fully documented and is in your install folder. And basically, anyone who is interested in programming, this is a great resource to go to look at the API help. The API is fully supported by Dassault SolidWorks, so if there are issues with the API, you can open SRs and provide service requests around it. Also, the API is retroactively compatible. So they're never going to change API functions. What they'll do is they'll add additional functionalities on top of it. So here's this a snippet from the API guide. And in one version of PDM, they had a class called IEDM file 6, which represents certain functionality. They made changes to that in newer releases of PDM. So instead of changing this class, they kind of added, or they'll add new classes with a new number that has that new functionality in it for users to use, but they won't change or modify the old functionality. So that really shows that it is fully backwards compatible. And in almost all cases, I would say any tool or customization we developed worked after a PDM upgrade. Only cases I remember where we had issues was when PDM went from supporting .NET 3.5 to .NET 4.0, which probably was over 15 years ago now. So let's talk about some of the different tools and let's say functionality that we developed on top of PDM. Like I said, this presentation will be more of a bunch of demos of what can be done or what we've done. So hopefully it's interesting, but now we're gonna get into more of a demo of what we've done in the past or we've done currently. So the first thing I talk about is custom part numbers. This is one of the most requested pieces of functionality where users want to have their own, let's say, custom or intelligent part numbering. There are a lot of debates whether part numbers should be intelligent or not intelligent. We're not going to go into that over this presentation. That could be a whole different debate or presentation about that. But customers, because of their processes, want intelligent part numbering. And this tool allows you to bring that to PDM. So I'm going to launch it. And we'll get into a bunch of videos now, like I mentioned. So in many cases, I'm going to forward this along. In many cases, users are going to want to create a part number when they save the data in SolidWorks. And a lot of the cases is they want some type of prefix, whether that prefix represents the type of part or the project the part's being used in, and then a counter. So this tool will allow you to provide that customizable prefix and then give you an intelligent counter. Now we have customers that wanted to extend this where they have, multiple values they pick from to generate the part number. In this example, they're just going to pick one number. So as you see on save from SOLIDWORKS, this GUI comes up. They can pick these configurable prefixes in the system. When they hit OK, it automatically puts the prefix and then the next counter associated to that file name. And then they can save that into PDM. And it also places, the part number into the part number variable in PDM. Just going to check this in. And then we're going to just do another save to show you if they pick the same prefix. It will pick the next counter for that prefix. And then we can again save it into PDM. For files that are not SOLIDWORKS or not part of the integration, we can also have this functionality work directly through the data card. So if we go into PDM here, and we're just going to load a non-SOLIDWORKS file. We can see right from the data card, we can bring up that same GUI, pick a prefix, and have it generate the part number. It does not automatically change the file name in this case, but we've added the ability upon check-in to prompt the user if they want to rename the file based on the part number. If they say yes, the file gets renamed based on that part number. So that's really the first tool we want to talk about. The second one, which I don't have a video for, is dormant files. Excuse me. Dormant files is the ability to have reports of files that are in certain states for a certain period of time. Now, there's some functionality like that out of the box, but we can configure that based on custom messages, custom users that get, reports of a list of files in certain states. So we've extended that functionality to provide, various notifications to various users based on what files are in certain states for a period of time. The next one is CATIA integration. So CATIA V5 is obviously a CAD product from Dassault. There's no direct integration between CATIA and PDM, but we have customers, a lot of them in aerospace, that still need to manage CATIA files and want to manage them inside of PDM. So we've built some functionality around that. So to watch that video, hold on. In this case, the integration is not managing structure between parts and products and drawings, but it is managing attributes and PDF functionality. So let's just move forward here. So we start with some CATIA files in PDM, and we're going to set the metadata for those PDM files. So we're just saying some metadata. And now what we'll do is we'll launch CATIA, and you'll see we have a title block in CATIA with none of that metadata that we created filled out. But we want to have a bi-directional mapping between the title block and the properties or the data card variables. So we can run our add-in here that we created, and well, we will run our add-in that we created here. And then it automatically completes the title block mappings as you see here. So we'll save it. We'll go back to PDM. It can do the similar things for models too. You see the sheet size got written back to PDM as well from the title block. So now we're going to check this in. Actually, before we check it in, we just want to make some changes to the variables. And we're going to actually speed forward, but we're going to release this. So we release this in PDM. Oh, actually, before we release it, we're going to make a change because we want to increment the revision. So we're going to make a minor change here. Now we'll release it. And when we release it, it's going to kick off a task to automatically create a PDF of the CATIA drawing. So through the task functionality in PDM, it's going to create a task that's going to generate a PDF of the drawing. And when it's doing that, it's updating the title block as well. So it's updating the revision and the various values that we set. And now if we go back to PDM, we can see that it created a PDF. It filled in some attributes, and the PDF also, or the CATIA title block was updated as part of that release process where the description and the rev got automatically updated. So those are the two key functionalities within the CATIA integration that we're supporting, basically metadata mapping and PDF creation. Permission tool management. So one thing where we see a lot of customers get or spend a lot of time, basically administrators to PDM, is managing permissions within the PDM tool, specifically if you're setting permissions at the folder level. So this tool really allows you to easy set and report on such permissions. So let's run that. So in this case, we have a standalone tool that will allow you to first list all users in the system. It lists all top level folders, and then it lists all groups in the system. So the tool can let you select multiple users, select multiple folders. In this case, it's only top level folders, and then pick a group, such as engineering group, and automatically assign those users to that group, to that project. So if we go in now, we look at project test. Go to the properties of project test. We can see now that the users that we selected, such as Daphne or the group, are now in the, the group we selected, and the users are now all in that group. So we can easily assign users to projects to groups. You can also easily remove users on projects within groups. We also have the ability to report. So in this case, we can select whether it's a user, a top level folder, or a group. and then see what they are assigned to. So if we were to pick a user, or I guess pick a top level folder, we want to see who's assigned to this folder and run the report, we can see what users are assigned to that folder and what group they're in within that folder. Or we can pick a group, a security group, and then see what users are assigned to that group and what folders they're assigned to. Can also narrow it down based on two or more selection criteria that we see here. So if we want to see where user test is assigned in test group 1, we can see that here. If necessary, we can copy that data to the clipboard, put it in Excel. If any, reporting or any other manipulation needs to be done against the data. And then finally, we have the ability to copy multiple users. This is an enhancement that we added to the tool. And then based on that user selection there, we can paste the users into a specific set user list. If it's easier to type the username or log in versus select it, and then have those permissions assigned to the users based on that set user list, such as from the copy and paste. There are some other minor functionality like copying permissions from one folder to another, but hopefully you got the gist of how that tool will work. Finally, engineering change. So in PDM, you have the ability to do change states of files, but a lot of times we need to manage an engineering change object. So this example, actually, it's a little bit dated, but the concepts truly apply. Will allow you to create engineering change objects, assign files or CAD parts to it, and then promote those to release. In this example here, we are using Excel as our engineering change object, let's say, but we've updated this to make use of XML and having XML schemas to do the work. So in this case, we have two parts here where they're in under editing. We want to release those parts. So what we'll do is we'll select them. Oh, also I'm showing that on this part, there's multiple configurations. Each configuration actually represents a different part in this example. So we'll select the parts, and now we're going to say create ERN or engineering release notice in this case. We can fill in data based on a template. This is a pretty simple template, but we can create more advanced templates if needed. So we'll fill in some information. Click OK. And what's going to happen is it's checking out the files because it's adding that ERN notice to them, to their data card automatically. And it's creating the ERN. So if we go into our ERN folder here, we see that a new ERN was created. And if you look, it's going to map all the data from that ERN template to this Excel file. Again, we can use XML files. And it linked all the part numbers to the ERN automatically as well. So we can fill out change information here if we want. We could, also read that possibly from the change state as well. So we're just going to fill out some information here. And then we're going to save this file and check him in. Yeah, we also have linked the SOLIDWORKS files to the ERN as well. Everything's done. We can now route this ERN for approvals based on our flow process that we create. In this case, I'm using a very simple one. We'll submit for approval. And then put it in the approved state. And when we do that, we will automatically create a PDF of the ERN. We're not doing this now, but if we have drawings associated with the ERN, we could create PDFs of the drawing as well and merge them all into one big ERN package, PDF package. So it went to the completed folder and it automatically created a PDF of the ERN. And we can also, attach PDF drawings to that ERN as well. Again, this was done using Excel, but in newer versions, we're doing it using XML and style sheets as well. And we'll show you a little bit of that as well. So reporting tools, here we'll do a little bit of live demo for those of you that aren't familiar with the reporting tools within PDM. I guess I closed my PDM, but you can write SQL commands and then from the SQL commands run reports directly. So as I get my system ready here, okay, here we go. So here's PDM live demo. So we can run various, or write, I should say, various SQL queries. Obviously, you need to know a little bit about SQL, but you can write these queries in this specific, based on this template, save it as a CRP file, Kinesio report, and then we can have PDM run the queries. So here's just an example. One report that I find very useful is to, and then through tools, we have report generator that will bring up the various reports in the system. Here's that get quote I showed you that we can run. In this case, it's just showing you folders and various folder properties in the system. But what I find is very useful is workflow history, I call it. And that's going to show you for each file, it's going to show you the time it takes to go from one state to another state, and then the time it's in that state in minutes. So you can do a lot of tracking, a lot of benchmarking, KPIs of how long things take to move from state to state. So we find this report, fairly useful when determining, how long it takes to complete workflows or even completing moving files from certain states to other states. We also can do various regulation reports. And here's an example of using some XML data to generate that report. So if we go back into PDM, and in this case, we're going to create or look at this XML file here. And this is an XML file. We can preview it. And it shows us a style sheet of different data that represents that ERN information with different parts on it. So before I was showing you that file, let's say a similar ECN or ERN in an Excel file format. Now we're doing it through an XML file format. We can also generate reports off of it. So in the FAA industry, there's different reports like an 8110 and minor change. So if I click on this, it can bring up an interactive GUI where we can update information for this ERN purpose. And this is all stored as XML data within the system. Add signatures as necessary, and then save this to a directory. Copy that directory folder and hit save. And right now it's processing everything into a PDF file. So if we go to that directory, we can see that it created that same form based on the FAA template structure that needed that information in. And then we've done this also for, if we go back to PDM, for what's considered minor change information. And so we have a different form here. We can add different information. We can remove objects from the form, but then again, similarly, save it. Have it generate a PDF. And then as soon as my Windows Explorer wakes back up, give it a second, we can look at that PDF as well. Oh, I guess it just took a second to create. So now if we look here, we can see it created a minor change form based on the information. So those are some reporting tools and reporting that we've developed. Obviously, we can build the SQL reports into much more user interactive reports as well. PDF processing, so a lot of times this is making use of the task functionality within SOLIDWORKS PDM. So we have the ability to create all sorts of different file formats, creating e-drawings for everything in an assembly, creating PDFs or other formats for different file types like AutoCAD, Inventor, Solid Edge, CATIA that I showed you, Visio, etc. Creating batch update tools to update metadata fields. A lot of times we get the request to change title blocks on all the drawings within PDM or rearrange file locations where files are stored. So we can write all sorts of batch processing tools to handle large batch operations. Here's a quick video of a PDF package tool that we developed. So let's just move forward. So in this case, we're going to launch our tool here. So I just have some SOLIDWORKS data here. I'm going to select what data I want to batch process. Also, I'm showing you I have an AutoCAD drawing here as well that we're going to do the same thing with. So from PDM, we can launch what we consider batch processing tools, and we can fill in metadata about those tools that will get watermarked on the drawing. So think about building a package for the shop floor to build. We can type in this case, data to create the PDF for. We can also browse to it. So it will process the assembly and all its children and the DWG in the same package, basically. And this is going to be based on the file version. And then we can type in numbers. This will be file counts. So it just puts the, for example, the number to produce. We can put it on there. We want to create 10 of those and 5 of these. We're going to give it a job number. And again, in this case, this could be used for the shop floor. Give it a color so the shop floor knows what color to use, and then figure out if we want to print it or create a PDF package. Then we'll say print, and it's sending all that stuff to be processed now. And basically that's creating a task. It will actually load the data into SOLIDWORKS. It's going to add that watermarking information to it and create PDFs. Now we're creating a PDF of the AutoCAD file. And if we go to our output directory based on job number, this is all configurable. It created all the PDFs. We could also combine them into one package, but it added the metadata. And when I put in file count, I put 10. In this case, it's showing 20 because this part is used twice within the assembly. So it does file roll-ups as well. And then we can do that based on the batch print tool, get some detailed information based on how that tool works. And then have everything configurable based on an XML file that controls what variables, where the watermark goes, what you can print to, control colors, if we use that, etc. So everything is controlled by an XML file. So that's from our batch processing tools. We talk about integrations. One of the bigger integrations that we use is from PDM to SharePoint. So I will launch that real quickly. And in this case, moving forward here. So go back a little bit. Starting off in SharePoint, we have no data in SharePoint. We're going to release drawings now from PDM. And these are people where they're going to use SharePoint to collaborate on data, and engineers will use PDM. So we're going to release the data here. First, we put it into waiting for approval. Now we'll release it to approvals. And when it goes to release, we again will take and make a PDF of all the drawings. And automatically publish those PDFs to SharePoint with the metadata. This again is built on the PDM task functionality. So in the background, it's creating PDFs. And now we can see that it finished successfully the task. And if we go into PDM, I'm sorry, if we go back to SharePoint, we can see that all our files got published and it mapped metadata, such as modified by, part number, description, revision, state, who did the publishing to SharePoint. And now anyone within SharePoint can access and view the data through SharePoint or a web browser. So that's that video. We've done an integration with DelmiaWorks for those who are using PDM and DelmiaWorks as their MES system. We'll show you this real quickly. So in this case, we're going to take it in assembly and it will automatically, through various technologies, get published into DelmiaWorks. We're showing you this is also built on a task functionality, and there's mappings associated to it. We're associating that to a certain task. But in any case, we have a drone assembly in PDM. It has a bill of materials. We will now launch a tool to integrate that to SharePoint. I'm sorry, not SharePoint, to DelmiaWorks. So we say send to DelmiaWorks. We can also do this on a change state. It's going to run the DelmiaWorks task. Shows that it worked successfully. It just shows that it built some files that are used to import into DelmiaWorks. And then if we move, this can also work based on a change state. But finally, now we can go into DelmiaWorks. We can load this will be automatic, but it loads the BOM or the bill of manufacturing, search for that drone. And see that its structure or its bill of manufacturing has been loaded. Based on that product structure within SolidWorks PDM or SolidWorks. So this is the bill of manufacturing. And then finally, not only do we transfer over the bill of materials, but we can load over documents and load e-drawings for viewability as well. So we can view that as an e-drawing as well from DelmiaWorks. We've also done integrations from SolidWorks PDM to Arena, which is now purchased by PTC. So PTC Arena. We've done it to other PLM systems. We have a basic integration of 3D Experience as well as a bi-directional. And then obviously we have specific or unique ERP integrations from PDM as well, whether it be other systems like SAP or smaller ones like Microsoft Dynamics. We have some integrations out there too, but no videos around them. Finally, data migrations. We've used the various APIs and tools from SolidWorks to migrate data from tons of legacy systems into PDM. Smart Team, Autodesk Vault, DBWorks, SharePoint, Windchill, etc. Um, but also we've developed, which is a key functionality, is to merge two PDM vaults together. So in a lot of cases, customers, for various reasons, have multiple PDM vaults. And instead of maintaining multiple systems, they want to merge them into one system. So we have the ability to do that. Here's a quick video on that. So here I'm just showing you two vaults side by side with different sets of data in it. So with different folders, with different sets of data. We'll do this relatively quickly too. We also have some duplicate part file names as well. So we have a config file that controls mapping, how all this data is going to be mapped from one vault into another vault. And we print out, the ability to have duplicate, if there's any duplicate files, we identify them and list them in a text file. So now we're going to run our tool called EPDM merge. It's basically building an XML file used for merging of the data. We then use that XML file we created within the SOLIDWORKS PDM XML import tool. And in this tool, we can then show how the data gets mapped from a folder level, a revision level, state mappings from the legacy vault to the new vault, user mappings, and then property mappings from the legacy vault to the new vault. So we'll run this tool that actually does the merge. And then we can see that all the data from the vault on the left got merged into the vault on the right. And it merges full history. So if there were multiple files that had multiple revisions, the full revision history got merged. In this case, because there were duplicate files, we put a prefix in front of them to make them unique during that merge. But it's still, even though we renamed them, it's still maintained the relationships. And then it knew there were, project folders with the same name, so it merged data into the same project folder name. It also obviously set all the metadata that was between the two data cards as well. And as you can see on the left and the right, the versions have been fully migrated as well. So that's an example of how we can merge vaults. Again, if someone needs that, we can go into it in full history, full more detail, but you can see how we can merge all the data from one vault to another. Finally, this goes in the opposite direction, but we have also experience to go from PDM to the new 3D experience from Dassault as well. We have different standalone tools. So people not using PDM or just using SOLIDWORKS, we have standalone tools. So we have the same part numbering tool that we showed you in conjunction with PDM, but just works with SOLIDWORKS as a standalone system. We have the ability to mass assign materials to different SOLIDWORKS files based on a GUI. We have the ability, like I said, to do batch updates of properties or title blocks. for people migrating or analyzing their SolidWorks data, we have a SolidWorks data integrity reporting tools that checks on number of files, it validates references, it reviews properties within the files. And then we created a PCB board creation tool for people that have DXF files and want to build PCB boards. I'll go over this really quickly. So real quick, we have a GUI here that allows you to import DXF files and create an order of the DXF files. And as that runs, it's going to actually build a PCB board. Not only can we build the board, but we can place components on the board as well, based on different functionality. So that's our PCB board tool that we went over really quickly. And then in conclusion, a lot of people say they don't want to extend PDM. They say it could cause problems with upgrades, it could increase complexity or make the system unsupported. But we really feel many PM customers have chosen to implement customizations. It really provides value to them. Everything we do is based on supported APIs. And if you properly maintain your add-in, it's easy to troubleshoot any issues that may come from it and deploy such add-ins and support them over upgrades. The challenge is obviously you want to balance customizations versus out-of-the-box functionality. So then I always give this as an example. What's the cost for a customization? A lot of people say, well, we don't have the budget, we don't want to spend the money, but really a simple cost can save a lot of money. So let's say we're going to develop a customization, we're going to buy an add-in, and it's going to cost $9,500. If you're going to if you have 10 engineers at your company, and let's say the engineering cost per hour is $75, and this tool is going to save 10 minutes per engineering per day. Well, if you extrapolate that across 200 days in a year, in year one, you're going to save $15,500. So that's a 163% return on your investment, and then expand that to multiple years going forward. So we really see that such enhancements can provide a lot of value and ROI within a PDM system. I built a little Excel tool to calculate your own ROI based on your own unique numbers. I can share that with you guys if you're interested. And then in conclusion, I'd say additional PDM tools and customizations are a powerful way to expand PDM to meet your customers' unique and your company's unique processes. There are various options out there for customizations depending on what you need. And the cost savings and ROI can be significant even for a simple process. So with that, I want to say thank you and open it up to any questions. Please type in any questions if you have them. So I have one question here. If you're interested in the PDM merge, how much does it cost? So doing a merge, usually we would charge for a tool plus some services to help you out. Usually that's going to be like around $15,000 depending on the size of the project, and probably take 1 to 2 months to do that merge. Next question is, can I get a more detailed demo of your permission tool? So yes, please reach out to me per the information on the screen, and I would be happy to go into that with you in more detail. Will this presentation be available? Yes, it will be. Again, please reach out to me and I can send it to you. There'll also be a recording of it made available as well. As for what development language had we used, most of our development is done in C#, a little bit in VB.NET, but most of it is based on C-sharp, COM-based programming languages. All right, I think that's all the questions for now. So once again, thank you very much. If you have any additional questions or want any more information, please reach out to me per the information on the screen. Once again, my name is Marc Young with XLM Solutions, and we're here to help you with any PDM or PLM needs. Thank you very much.